suppose when you think about Web 2, I suppose the infrastructure had to be built out, and then suddenly you had that Cambrian explosion of the application. So do you think it's just a case of we just need that first one really to hit true product market fit outside of the crypto circles before suddenly people see, okay, you can actually make good money and there is an audience which can be attracted?
That's right, and it needs to be consumer facing. Like, I mean, I love deep. Look, Multicoin going to help pioneer DeepIn, so we obviously have spent a lot of time there working very closely with Helium and HiveMapper, and then Render and Filecoin and some other things as well. Although those are a little different than Helium and HiveMapper, but those don't capture consumer attention in the way that like Reddit does or whatever.
Yep.
So or Robinhood. So yeah, I think the bar in my mind is consumer. Something my mom, even if she wouldn't use it, would at least like understand it.
Yeah.
And that is, in my opinion, like the single most important question. And I believe the tooling exists today to do that. At least on Solana, on Arbitrum, that's less clear, or Optimism, but like you have the gas fees are low enough. You can abstract. You can have the developer can pay for gas. You've got social sign on and account abstraction and all that stuff. Like it's there. The latency is low enough. Like you can build these experiences. Dialect is a great example. Dialect is not yet a mainstream consumer app. Chris and the team are playing with a bunch of interesting. We're investors in Dialect. Chris and the team are playing with a bunch of interesting ideas. Hopefully that kind of breaks out to mainstream. We'll see. But we need something to hit, and I think it's pretty lazy to say like the infra's not ready.
For sure.
Yeah. Like stuff where Farcaster works, like Dialect works. Like we can get these things, and like you want to be able to at least iterate and see these experiments running and unlocking these social behaviors. That really, like all the other variables don't matter. Like it'll be amazing how quickly perceptions and discourse will change when there is consensus, market-wide consensus that like this app is like a big deal and like will generally capture consumer mainstream attention. All prior discourse will stop mattering.
Yeah. So I want to kind of talk a bit about that because you brought up Farcaster and obviously kind of like some go-to examples of successful Web2 apps, Snapchat, Reddit, things like that. My question has always been Lens Protocol, Farcaster, they're out. They've been out for a while. I've used them. But it's unclear to me how exactly does crypto make this a better app, so to speak. Like theoretically, people care about the social graph and portability of that. In practice, I kind of push back on like the reason why I use YouTube is because Mr. Beast is on there, not because he can move his followers from one place to another. That's why he's spending so much money on those videos, by the way. It's because the reach is just massive. It's hundreds of millions, not tens of thousands. So I guess my question is like, what is the low-hanging fruit for crypto to improve a consumer app? Like how can they actually be 10 to 100x better than existing apps?
Yeah, so you can't compete against these apps that you just named or that I've named on the vectors that matter for them, which I'm going to just like loosely call they have the content you want, whether that comes from your friends or from the recommendation algorithm or whatever. Web3 doesn't compete there. Web3, there's like at the social layer, there's like interesting theories of what Web3 enables. One is like ownership graph. I'm kind of skeptical of that theory, but there's a bunch of people playing around with that idea. Another is like the kind of fan club, NFT gated, private community idea. I'm pretty skeptical there, but there's a bunch of people playing with those ideas.
Yep.
A third is layering financialization into some of these behaviors. That one is the one I'm kind of the most interested in, and that maps like best to Twitter. Or at least it maps better to Twitter than it does to Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat.
Yeah.
So like if such a thing is going to work, it's not that you beat Twitter on having a better algorithm. That's not the thing. It's going to be you have to layer in some notion of financialization in a way that's compelling. That might be a vector that matters. If you look at Dialect, the kind of core theory there is a new opportunity for creator monetization for creators, and it's bundling both the revenue opportunity with this kind of new communication media, which is these like private chat rooms where the creator's there with some of the super fans, and so the goal is to create a new kind of experience for people to interact with those creators. Unclear if that scales to huge volumes, but like maybe there's something there. There's other vectors people are playing with around these things. So I haven't named all of them, but my point is though is that if there's going to be a large scale successful Web3 consumer thing, it's going to need to lean in pretty strongly into like one of these social attributes, either that I have identified or there's others that I missed in that kind of quick rant. But that's going to be the key. Like you have to believe that those things unlock some sort of new behavior and psychology that didn't exist before, and that are like kind of inherently tied to status, access, money, trading in some way that's meaningful. Another interesting one is social tokens. There's obviously been a handful of attempts at social tokens so far.
Right.
As far as I can tell, all of them have flopped. The newest iteration of this seems to be a thing called Unlonely, which disclosure we are an investor in. I think social tokens will be a thing.
Interesting.
And they map pretty well to crypto. So maybe that's the right vector to get to like large scale, social consumery thing. I don't know. It's just a theory.